Hey everybody, some of the guys in the Facebook group were talking about how they're doing rod mounts for their various fish finders. And I have rod mounts attached to mine. And someone asked me to share some pictures. I figured I'd do better and I'd share some videos. So I got two different setups. One is my first electronics, which is an FL-8 on a Genz Box. I learned a lot from that, and then I changed and improved for what I have on my second box. So this is my FL-8. Now it came on a Genz Box. I've had this for about 3-4 years now. If you watch the sales at Fleet Farm, which is where I got this, you can get it for around $250, $260. This has been an incredibly reliable and wonderful unit. It marks the smallest jig readily. You can see all your accents, you can see all your fish, works great. When you start getting beyond 30 foot of water, though, a more advanced unit where you have like bottom zoom would come in handy. Now, some of the things I've done on this individual Genz Box. As you can see, I have the snow shield on here. Because there's this edge all the way around and the fish finder's set back a little bit, if you're out in the snow, snow will pile up in there. And also this shield acts as a magnifier, so you can even see it from even further away. On the back of the box is where then this is one of the reasons why I like a Genz Box so much, is I can modify it. So if you look down here, I have two rod mounts. These individual rod mounts are nothing more than like $150 broom holders. They have their shortcomings, and these are some of the improvements I'll show you on the next box. So I can clip two rods. One of the mistakes I did was I mounted them too far down. I wish I would have mounted them up holder so I could have clipped the rod up a little bit higher. Also, if I shake it, the rods come out. So that's a design flaw. Three other things that I did on it, and this I've done on both my boxes, is I've added a glow cup. This is an Ice Jaeger glow cup. The guy who sells these, he makes these on his own 3D printer. He puts them together himself. This is 100% made in the USA, and it costs about 17, 18 bucks. I absolutely love it. It's got a UV glow ring inside. You drop your glow jig in for about 1-2 seconds and it glows for the next 15 minutes easily, if not longer, depending on the type of glow paint used. It also has very minimal draw on your battery, so I can just turn it on and leave it on for the entire day and just dip my jig in it while I'm rebaiting it. It's really simple, really easy to use. One of the mistakes I did on this mounting was I mounted it back here. If I'm in a shack, my fish finder is usually on the far side against the wall, on the other side of the hole, near the canvas, and so often this will be back by the canvas, and I don't want to hook a jig into the canvas. And you also have to reach and lunge forward for it. So I changed the mounting on my other box as well. And the final piece is one of these. Now this is a little hard plastic minnow scoop that costs like $1.25. I store it back here in the box, and I use it as an ice scoop when I'm going from hole to hole to hole. Now, a lot of guys like dropping through slush, and I have no problem dropping through slush, but right after you drill a hole, often you'll have like these sheets of, or chunks of ice that are just from your blade cutting into the hole, and your jig doesn't necessarily go through that like it will through slush. So you get those bigger pieces out, you can leave your slush in the hole. Or you can also use this end, and you can pound through thin ice. Make sure you don't get any jagged edges if you don't want to kick it free with your boot. So this is my FL-8. As I said, I love this unit. It's incredibly light. The battery lasts for days. But if I'm fishing with somebody else, it's nice to have two units. So this summer I upgraded. And I switched over to a Helix 7. Now, get back in. This Helix 7, I got this unit because I wanted a bow unit for my boat. I have a Helix 9 with down imaging and side imaging at the console of my boat, but I like to bass fish. So I'm in the front of my boat. I want at least some kind of fish finder up there so I can see what the depth changes are, see if there's any fish nearby, see if the bottom composition changes. So this is a Helix 7 GN2 with networking. I do not have side imaging on it. I do not have down imaging on it because it's for the front of my boat. One of my big projects this next year is to network this unit to talk to my back unit. This unit, which is why it's the GN, which stands for networking capability, talks to my trolling motor so I can use iPilot Link, which is invaluable. So I got this unit so I could use it for both ice fishing as well. I knew this was an upgrade I was going to do over the last year, so after Christmas I'd gotten some gift certificates and I bought the ice deucer for this particular unit before I even owned the unit. So I have the ice deucer, I have the Helix. For the mount, I went with a taller ram mount. Okay, now there's a methodology behind this. First, with just a few twists, I can take this off. I can unplug the transducer and the power from back here, and I can move this unit over to my boat in the spring of the year incredibly easily. I've also put a ram mount and a power cable on my ATV, on my snowmobile. So when I'm out on a larger body of water, I can use the Lake Master chips. I can find really precise data where the drop-offs, the humps, any bottom structure they maybe have waypointed. I can drive directly to it and have this on the dashboard of my snowmobile. I rigged up a second power cord that uses the battery off the snowmobile, and then I can just move the transducer from this particular Genz Box over to the snowmobile. So if I want to, I can use my snowmobile as a mobile kind of running and gunning platform. I can drive to a location, pop my auger off the auger rack on the back, punch a hole, drop the deucer. If I see fish, I can drop immediately to them and have electronics so I can see how they're reacting to my bait, or I can just immediately put my auger back on if I don't see any fish and move to the next location. So here's some of the changes I made when I did the Genz Box modification 2.0. Again, on the front, I got the Jaeger mount. Now notice, I put it on the front of the unit this time. This makes it so when I'm in a shack, I'm not hitting the canvas or have any chance of hooking my little jig on the canvas. Again, it uses very minimal power, and it's just much more convenient in that location, I have found. I still have the minnow scoop for busting up ice. I got the ram mount for easily transporting, and the biggest change I did was with the rod mounts. I used a different kind of a broom holder. And honestly, I thought buying these initially was a mistake, but it has an advantage. So first of all, I mounted it higher, but as you can see, I don't have the units sticking straight off the back. I'm going to move this like I have to have on my other unit, and they would fall out. But what I can do is I can turn it, and the handle will nest behind these rollers, and now they're not going anywhere when I'm going from hole to hole. So that has been a significant advantage.